Okay. Hello, good evening, everyone. I tell you what, I can hear the rain outside against my window, and I'm all cuddled up here on a set sofa with some blankets against me. Just finished Coronation Street, by the way. Finished my it's a practical joke. Anyway, don't forget, look on our radio site. If you can't watch us, you can listen to us on our radio, Crossroads Podcast UK radio. And at the moment, we've got around about 5,000 people listening. Thank you very much, guys. We're okay. Um, my guest tonight is Joanna Rawbone. Joanne, can you tell everybody what you do and about yourself, please?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So I'm a trainer, coach, facilitator, and I've had my own business since 1994, and I have a particular focus which is on enabling introverts to flourish without pretending to be something they're not.
Right, because people tend to do that, oh, don't they? They pretend, we are something, and we're not really, and we like to kind of go around saying, yes, we're so and so, but at the end of the day, we're not. Why do people do that?
I, I don't know about some people. I know about introverts. And what I know about introverts is that we've spent most of our lives being told to be something different, to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, to be more confident, to speak up more, to, all those sorts of things. And it just gets to us eventually.
Yeah, why can't we just be ourselves?
Yeah, I agree.
You
And
know?
that's one of the things that I'm really working with introverts on, but also I'm rattling the cages of organization to get rid of the extroversion bias. Because, it starts in early childhood, carries on through education, and then in business, it's terrible. So, need to get rid of that bias.
So what you're doing about it?
So I work with individuals both on a one-to-one basis and in group programs, and that's about enabling them to be authentically um, themselves. So we talked about why can't people be themselves. It's about being proud of being an introvert, not being ashamed of it somehow. And I'm also working with organisations and hopefully soon working with educators to say, let's let's see where the bias is in your everyday processes and practices, and let's get rid of those. So think about children in school. The introverts will have given a lot of themselves during a class, let's say. During the break, they just want to sit quietly. They don't want to run around shouting and screaming necessarily, but they're told that they ought to go and play with other kids.
Mm.
So, I need to work with educators, I need to work with employers to make sure that what they're doing is getting rid of the bias in recruitment processes. So in assessment centres, it's often the extroverts who get lauded for speaking up and, pushing themselves forward. And the introvert who's doing the listening and assimilating
Mm.
doesn't get looking.
Yeah, I think we do need to speak up for ourselves because we just can't hide behind a mask all our lives. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I do a lot of obesity campaigning, and I do quite a bit. And the trouble is, sometimes people like myself and other people, we hide behind ourselves behind a mask, and we're afraid to come out because what the other person's going to say. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So how can we kind of like get over that?
For me, it's about really owning, recognizing and owning my strengths. So the difference changed for me. I mean, it wasn't till my 30s that I realised how I was different. I knew I was different as a young kid, but I didn't know how. And in my 30s, I took a Myers-Briggs type indicator, which a lot of people will have come across, which told me I was an introvert. And all of a sudden, it was like the doors and the windows opened, and I knew who I was, and that there wasn't anything wrong with me. But I wasn't an extrovert. I was an introvert.
Mm.
Didn't know how to deal with it though. So what happened was I then pretended to be more introverted, more extroverted. And it was only probably in the last decade that I've said, actually, I've got great strengths as an introvert. Let
Yeah.
me talk about those positively. Let me own them. Let me be proud of those. So when people say to me, "Oh, you're so quiet. Why are you so quiet?" I now say, "Thank you for noticing. It's one of my strengths, and it means that I'm listening to everything that's going on, and I can summarize well, and I notice what other people don't notice. So thank you for noticing that. Makes a
Mm.
massive difference."
Yeah, yeah. It's just turning the situation around in it. And
Yeah,
yeah. So you do podcasts as well, don't you?
I do, yes.
How long have you been doing that for?
So I started last February, February the 20th, something like that. I've just releasing episode 50 tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, isn't it? Yeah,
Is it
tomorrow.
50 already?
Yeah, yeah, doing one a
God.
week.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. I do a mix of having guests sometimes, but sometimes it's just a topic. So the last topic was about the importance of friends for introverts, because there are
Mm.
so many myths and misconceptions that we're boring, we're lonely,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't like people, which is rubbish. We just need to recharge our batteries.
yeah.
So and this one, this trying to remember what this episode is. I'll remember in a moment. But there's always
Okay.
something kind of it's helpful for the introverts.
Yeah, it's quite good. I've listened to some of your podcasts, and I find it very interesting
Thank you.
because yeah, I do. I find it very. And also, when we listen to your podcast, we can all learn from it because
Yeah, so
yeah,
I committed right at the outset that it was predominantly for introverts to help them feel better. So, I love what you're doing with Crossroads. But there's also something for me about introverts' mental health is damaged by these
mm,
decades or however long of being told they're not enough.
mm,
And yet there are misconceptions and myths around it's the same as social anxiety and depression. It's not,
mm,
it's just introversion. So there's myths to bust around this stuff too.
Well, with as you're saying about about me, about you liking about what I'm doing with Crossroads. The trouble is, what I do with Crossroads is part of my life. I've always been told I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I can't do this and I can't do that, and I proved it. That when I went to school, I was told not, I wasn't allowed to. I was put into another class. Then when I went to my church minister one day and said, I believe that I need to take RE, he looked at me and went, okay, we're going to do that. And
No.
when I passed my exam and I went on to O level and A level in RE, um, then I thought to myself, well, there you go, I've done something, and I was very proud of it. And for a while, because of my obesity and stuff like that, and it was I was trying to I was hiding away, So this is why I did this for, is to help people who were lonely or people who was in the same situation as me. But since last year when we started and now, we get a lot of listeners in, and people we're helping people every day.
That's brilliant.
So it's really good. It's really good to help people. So, but with you, your podcast, when your podcast come out, it's even helping people too because what they're doing is they're kind of like I was kind of like listening to something the other day. I can't remember what it was. It was and it just thought something to do with thinking. It was uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was kind of like, and I was thinking about something. Thought no, I've got to change my thought here, change my thinking. And yeah, it was really good. So, but how do you sometimes kind of like prepare for something like that? Because you must think, oh, well, I did that. What can I do today? How do you manage it?
There's something really important for me as an introvert, which is always having my mental battery fully charged.
Mm.
I'm a Jungian in terms of psychology, a big fan of positive psychology as well.
Yeah, yeah,
But there's,
yeah.
yeah, so Jung's definition of introversion and extroversion, what the difference is it's how we get our mental batteries recharged and what drains our batteries.
Yeah.
Nothing more. That's all it is. And yet the world seems biased towards the extroverts and, kind of against the introverts.
Mm.
So I've emceed events of over 1,000 people. I've done a TEDx talk. I train and coach people, every day. And all I need to do is make sure that my mental batteries are recharged so that I can really show up and do my best work and be there to serve people, because that's why I do what I do, to serve people. And if I have to keep going all day and I can feel my batteries draining, I have what I call my brilliant battery boosters, which are little short tips. With your mobile phone, you get that little almost tube battery that just gives you an extra
Yeah, yeah.
couple of hours juice.
Yes, yes.
So my brilliant battery boosters are similar to that, in that they are quick, easy techniques that just give my battery a boost to keep me going for another couple of hours. But at the end of the day, I'm indoors, curtains shut, doors shut, snuggled down, a bit like you are now in terms of on the sofa, kind of cuddled in a blanket. And that's me, because I need to make sure I recharge, because if I don't, what happens is I get into introvert overwhelm.
Mm.
That then leads, that's what this week's podcast episode's about. Introvert hangover. And then if I don't deal with that, it's then into introvert burnout. And that is serious for me.
Mm. I've met so many people think, they're somebody and they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they just think, and the trouble is, that when you meet people, it's like they try to kind of say, they kind of they what can I say? They just hide away from themselves.
Yeah.
They're
There
not
used to
themselves.
Yeah, there used to be a big thing about faking it till you make it. And I hate that expression, because
Yeah.
there's too much inauthenticity in the world as it is. Now, what I am a believer in is acting as if, because I know the psychology that if I'm lacking confidence, if I act as if I'm confident, notice I kind of sit up taller in my chair, I kind of smile, I make better eye contact. So there's real psychological benefit in acting as if, because the more I do it, the more I feel it. But faking it till you make it, my very core, my very being goes fake. Don't want anything to do with fake. So
Yeah.
the whole thing about, people hiding, what they then do is they, a bit like in social media, they put on a show for people and
Yeah,
a
yeah.
front,
Yeah.
rather than just showing up as they are.
Yeah, yeah. I know, a few people. I've done TV, radio, and you've probably done the same. And
Yeah.
and people go in and they do all their makeup and everything, and they get all dressed up and everything. That's fine. But in real life, that can't happen, because at the end of the day, you've got to show yourself yourself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can't. You know, um, we're all different, but in different ways, aren't we?
And for me, this is about celebrating the diversity, celebrating the difference. So one of the conversations I'm having with organizations is around their diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda. Because they're very good at things like gender, race, age, that sort of stuff, but they don't take account of neurodiversity. So
Right.
that's part of the conversation I'm having with organizations is, if you think you've got a good DEI policy, think again, because you're not taking account
Yeah.
of neurodiversity.
Saying that, what can they do to change that policy? Or because
So it's actually about looking at policies, seeing what their practices are they ignoring the quieter people and favouring the people who push themselves forward all the time? In which case, that's bias in action, and therefore they're not honouring their diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, one of the things I do is go into organisations and conduct an audit. So I winkle out where those bias examples of bias are, and then we put in place a process of change, because that's the only way things will change, is if we do it consciously and make sure it embeds so that people don't slip back into old ways.
Do you find that a lot of stigma comes into that as well?
Yeah, there is. I mean, unconscious bias is tricky because it's unconscious for most people. But also, I remember speaking to a partner in a busy professional services practice, and he openly said to me, look, it's just easier for me to get on with the chatty people. So the stigma is there straight away in terms of they're chatty, I'll get on with them, don't want to work hard. And he said, it's hard work talking to the other people. But we're human too. We deserve to be engaged and spoken to in an adult fashion.
Yeah, yeah. We trouble is, so the world is kind of like you know. I'm not going to tell you what somebody said to me once, but it wasn't nice. But the trouble is, you know, people think they're something, and at the end of the day, they're not. I keep saying we're all equal, and we
Yeah,
just got to kind of like lower it down a bit and be ourselves. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And be proud of who we are. Because
Yeah.
I think part of the stigma and part of the bias continues or perpetuates because people can see that either we're shy about it, embarrassed about it, we make apologies. So I did an episode not so long ago about, our our tendency to apologize, over apologize. I'm sorry for speaking, I'm sorry for interrupting, I'm sorry for being.
Mm.
And what we need to do is actually say, this is who I am. I'm here. I
Totally agree.
deserve my spot on earth.
Yeah, totally agree. I used to do that. I used to go around saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And they say, Steve, you got to say how you feel,
Yeah,
you know? And,
yeah,
and a lot of people know me now. I've been doing a lot of podcasts and stuff and shows and stuff. And I just say it as it is, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Because it's the best way, I don't hide behind, I don't hide behind anybody. I just say it as it is, especially when obesity and mental health because something like
Absolutely.
come into it because it's very important.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, even the label, the reality is we all have mental health.
oh
Some of
yeah,
us have better mental health than others. So, what we need to do is just recognize that all sorts of different situations affect us in different ways, and be compassionate with people about that.
yeah, but we're not also.
Mm.
Mental health and we some people just if you've got a mental health problem, some people don't want to know you.
I know. And some people don't know how to support and deal and be there. So one of the things I do as a trainer, coach, and facilitator is I hold the space for people. And
See, that's what I was just about to come on to. Yeah, yeah. Go on, carry on. Sorry.
yeah, and I find that a wonderful process, because what I'm doing is I'm holding the space for them to be themselves, to show up as they really are, warts and all,
Yeah,
um, just so that we can have a very real conversation, and that often helps shift their mindset.
yeah, yeah. Because that's what it's all about, the mindset, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, Joanne, thank you very much for joining me.
You're welcome.
You are, you know, how can people contact you? What's your website? Tell us all your details.
Okay. So if you go to all the W's, flourishingintroverts.com, what you'll do there is you'll find a questionnaire that tells you what type of introvert you are. You'll find my TEDx talk. You'll find my podcast. So that's the best place to go to get everything, flourishingintroverts.com.
And you can be contacted on Facebook too, can you?
Yep. So I've got a business page which is Flourishing Introverts, and I've also got a private group for people who've done the questionnaire and want to join that. It's called Introverts Corner.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you. Well,
You're
there you go.
welcome.
There you go. So contact Joanne. I tell you what, our podcasts are very good. Honestly, I'm not joking. If I wasn't, I'd tell you. But they are really, really, really good. So
Thank you.
it gets you thinking anyway. Thank you, Joanne, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Here you go, guys. That's Joanna Rawbone, and yeah, and I'll see you very soon.